Hi friends, welcome back to Brilliant Blue Reviews. My name is Heather, and in today's video I'm giving you a partial review of this book, Dear Miss Lake by A.J. Pearce, and I'm also going to be giving you a couple little updates on what's going on with the channel. Okay, so the first update is I'm kind of having the same issue I was having earlier this year, where I'm just not in the right frame of mind for reading. I'm just having such a hard time getting through books. I'm so tired at night when I go to bed. I am too tired to read. I got a little better at it over the summer because I made a point of reading during the day, but now we're getting back into the routine of the school year. And I also just went on a big trip with my son, and so I have a ton of video to edit for my other channel, Heather Travels. Be sure to check me out over there if you haven't visited Heather Travels. I'll link it up here. It's Friday today, and I don't have Sunday's video edited yet, so I gotta get going on that. Because of some changes in my life, I have adjusted my schedule so that I now wake up very early in the morning. And so by the time I go to bed, I'm just wiped and I literally fall asleep as soon as I get into bed. And so it's just not working for me anymore to be a bedtime reader. I know there's a term for that, someone who reads in bed at night, but it's just not working for me anymore. And so I do have to find a time in my schedule to read during the day when I'm more alert, preferably in the morning. And so until I get things kind of settled down here with this new school year and everything and find a new time to read, there might be a lull here for a little bit until I get settled into that and get a different book. Now, what I want to tell you about this book is it's a very well written, lovely novel. I got through about 10 chapters. I'm going to take it back to the library because here's the thing about this book. I highly recommend it. If you like World War II, if you're interested in journalism or anything about World War II or the role of the British during World War II or anything like that, or like how society was changing, near the end of the war and stuff, this book is great. This is a very well-written, lovely novel. If I finish it, I would probably end up giving this book 4 or 5 stars, I'm sure. Okay? I'm not going to finish it, and this is why. Number 1 is what I just said, that I'm just having trouble. Number 2 is this was a new book. It was supposed to be back already. I did manage to renew it because nobody happened to be waiting for it, but I know it's going to be popular. I just don't feel right holding on to a book when I'm not actually actively reading it, and there's other people that could be taking advantage and checking this book out from the library, and so I'm going to return it. The other thing is, this is the Dear Mrs. Bird series, and this is the 4th book in the Dear Mrs. Bird series. So there was Dear Mrs. Bird, Yours Cheerfully, Mrs. Porter Calling, and now Dear Miss Lake. And I've read the first 3, and I liked them all, but I know that at some point, maybe around somewhere in either novel 2 or novel 3, I remember thinking, I don't know if I want to continue with this series. Like, it's good, and I like it, and I'm a huge World War II historical fiction buff, but it just wasn't grabbing me as much as some other series that are similar time frame and everything. So I think I had already kind of thought that I was going to be done with this series anyway, and I didn't even realize that another book was coming out, and I don't know if she's going to do more after this or not. I have no idea. But I think I am going to be done with this series, and it's taking me too long to get into it and to really enjoy the book, and so I don't think that reading should ever feel like so much of an effort. I like it when I get completely lost and engrossed in a novel and I'm really enjoying it. And for some people, this book probably will do that for you. But for me right now, it's not. And so I'm going to set it down. And I want to give a message to you that you should never be afraid to do that. If you're just not into it, if you're just not digging the book, take it back to the library, put it back on the shelf, whatever. Maybe try it another time, when your frame of mind or your mood or what's happening in your life or whatever will work better for that book. Or just don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm just not going to read that one. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's keeping score. Nobody's keeping track of whether you finished the book or not. The author doesn't know that you didn't finish it. You gave the book a try and it didn't do it for you. This goes back to when I originally had started a booktube only booktube channel, very briefly. It was called A Novel View, and I had a tagline, and my tagline was, read what you like. I meant that kind of in two ways, like you should only read things that you like to read, but also read what you like, read whatever you want to. Nobody's judging you. It doesn't matter. When I did work at a public library, they actually told us we're never allowed to comment on what people read or what they check out. Never say anything to the patrons of the library about what they're checking out. First of all, it's confidential, what people check out and what they read. But secondly, you don't ever want to give any kind of opinion on any book ever of what people check out, because that's their business and you don't want to influence their choices. And they were really strict about it. So that's something that I always just keep in mind, that what you read and what you choose to read and how you choose to spend your time reading is completely up to you. And you shouldn't ever feel bad about what you decide to read and what you don't. So right now, what I've decided to do is the only books I've kept on hold at the library at this time. I think I have between 25 and 30 books currently on my to-be-read list on Goodreads. I have 8 books that I've purchased sitting here on my shelf that I could read. You know, so like if I have a time where I don't have anything come in from the library, I could pick up one of these. So those 8 are also on that 25 to 30 books that are on my to-be-read list. And then I have whittled down my holds at the library. I had a lot more on there. I actually had a few books come in, sit on hold, and I didn't go down and pick them up because I was still trying to read this. And it was I think I've had this book for 3 weeks or a month or more. I've had them more than a month probably. My holds ended up coming back off and they sent them back because I didn't come and get them in time. So what I've decided to do right now is only the ones that are new releases and most likely the next book in a series that I've been very eagerly anticipating and waiting for. For example, the next book in the Thursday Murder Club series, the next book in the Eve Ronin series by Lee Goldberg. I have both of those on hold at the library. They haven't been published yet, so they're on order at the library, and I would like to read those as quickly as possible after they're published. So those are both coming out this fall, and I think there's a couple other ones. So those are the only things that I've left on my holds at the library right now, and I'm just going to take a break from reading, from trying to read until those things come in. And then hopefully I can get into a better schedule of reading during the day and then, you know, replenish my hold list at the library and get some of the other novels that I'm interested in reading that aren't brand new releases or the next book in a series. I hope that kind of gives you an update and an understanding of what's happening if you're really excited about more book reviews. Thank you to everyone who does watch the channel and watches my book reviews. I do really appreciate it. I do highly recommend the Dear Mrs. Bird series. Again, it's set in World War II. It's a historical fiction novel. The main character is Emmy Lake. She actually calls it the Emmy Lake Chronicles. So that's another thing you might hear about. It's Emmy Lake. She wants to be a journalist, and she specifically wants to be a war correspondent. And it sounds like where I left off in this book is she's actually going to get the chance, because the war is kind of wrapping up. The Allies have already, it's past D-Day. It's in 1945, and it's in the fall of 1945. Summer and fall is when this book is set, of 1945. And they have taken the entire magazine that she works for, Women's Own magazine, and they have moved it to the country because of the bombing and continuing bombing in London, and for safety issues and stuff, and so they can concentrate. And they have all moved out into the country in Hampshire, and they're writing and publishing the magazine from there. But she gets an opportunity to go to a field hospital in Belgium where injured soldiers are being treated after, you know, they're trying to wrap things up in Europe. And so that's kind of where I left off. So if any of that interests you, and earlier than that, in the first 3 novels, it focused on, you know, when she first gets the job at the magazine and, you know, establishing the relationships with the people at the magazine. There's a romance in there, a couple of them. There's the whole stuff with the Blitz and the bombings in London and everything. And there's also, you know, the fire brigade, the volunteer firefighters that go out and deal with stuff. And there's, you know, some serious stuff too. There's a couple of deaths and people that they lose, and, you know, friendships that she has and things like that. I can't remember. It's either the second book or the third book, focuses a lot on women in the workforce in the factories during World War II. So issues with like childcare and the labor movement and things like that. So if any of that interests you, you probably would really like this series, the Emmy Lake Chronicles. And I would encourage you to check it out. So it is a very solid read. It's well written. It's a good book. It's not that long. I just can't get into it right now. And I think I probably am just going to put this series to rest for me personally. So I just have so many other books I want to read. And this one just isn't holding me and grabbing me as much as I would like. So that's what's happening with this. I do recommend this series. I would recommend this book, but you have to read the other books first. This is one of these series where you can't just really read this as a standalone. You're going to need to read the other books in the series first. So start with Dear Mrs. Bird. For movies, this is a very dead time of the year for movies. So we have kind of a lull between the big summer blockbusters and the fall season when you get a lot of horror movies and stuff in September and October, which I have no interest in whatsoever. But then you start to get into Oscar season where they start to put forth a lot of Oscar movies, smaller movies that maybe not a lot of people have heard of. If anything of interest comes out, I will go to see those and I will certainly make reviews on those. And then with TV, obviously, the new fall TV season is starting very soon. I am eagerly anticipating the new season of Only Murders in the Building starts next week. The Great British Baking Show starts today on Netflix. And the new season of Call the Midwife. Those are all shows that I've watched for years. I probably won't do reviews of them, but those are three that I would highly recommend. Those are three of my favorite shows. I'll tell you what I watched this summer. I watched every season of the Great British Baking Show my daughter and I did that I hadn't watched yet. So I had watched seasons 1 through 4 or 5, you know, like the original ones with Mary Berry that were originally on BBC. I had watched those in the past, like way long time ago when we lived at our house that we used to own. And then I watched the most recent, like 3 or 4 series as they call them. And so this summer, Megan and I tackled all the series in the middle. So it was like season 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think. Like that's what we watched this summer, just one right after the other. And then I also watched The Watcher on Netflix, which started out so promising. I loved the beginning of it. I loved Bobby Cannavale and Naomi Watts in that movie. Terrific in that series. It was on Netflix. Terrific cast. But I was so dissatisfied by the ending, but it was perfect. I was dissatisfied by it, but it was perfect for the ending because it totally goes with what actually happened. That's a true story, which is that there was no resolution and they never solved it. But it's so frustrating that they didn't and that they did the same thing in the show. I thought maybe they were going to, you know, give it an ending in the show, a more satisfactory conclusion, but they didn't. So in that way, it was perfect. It was very well acted. I would recommend that. Megan and I also watched Department Q this summer on Netflix. Also very good. Now that one should be a continuing series. I think there's going to be more seasons. Gosh, that was good. It's gritty, it's dark, but so good. It's a police kind of procedural thing. They're solving cold cases. And it's focusing on one case. And the way they did the first episode was so twisty and clever because you did not realize what was happening until the very end of the episode. And it was like, oh, no way. And it was really good. That was a very well done show. So I would highly recommend Department Q on Netflix. Oh, we also watched the 4 seasons on Netflix earlier in the summer. And I really enjoyed it. That also has an amazing cast. It's got Coleman Domingo, Tina Fey, Steve Carell. Yeah, lots of really good actors on that one. And it's based on the 4 seasons, the movie with Alan Alda, which I didn't realize right away. And I was kind of like, why is Alan Alda in this? And then when I realized, oh my gosh, that's right. I watched that movie in the 70s when I was a kid, which was totally inappropriate for my age. But it's based on that, but they did it as a 4-part series. And I just realized the other day that the music that they play in the intro of each episode, each season is 2 episodes. So there's actually 8 episodes, but it's through the 4 seasons. And it's spring, summer, fall, winter is how it ends, which I think was the same as the movie. It's these couples that get together every, for getaways, basically, is what it is. And shows how their relationships change over the year. The music, I just realized in the intros, is Vivaldi's Four Seasons. It's the 4 parts of the symphony of the 4 seasons. That's the intro music for each part. I had never caught that before. I just thought of it the other day. Heather from the editing process. I just remembered another series that Megan and I watched on Netflix this summer. Now, we were watching these separately for the most part because she was at school working in Minnesota and I was here at home in Wisconsin. But another one that we watched was No Good Deed. And what originally attracted me to that series was the fact that it had Phoebe from Friends, Lisa Kudrow, in one of the main roles. But it was also very, very good, and we really enjoyed that series. It was like a freaky, twisty mystery, a lot of familial relationships going on and other relationships. It was very, very good. Had a very good cast. Had no idea where it was going with it, and it ended up being really positive and quite life-affirming, actually. And I really enjoyed No Good Deed, so I'd highly recommend that as well. So that was something else we watched this summer. So there you go. There's some TV recommendations for you. Right now, as I'm waiting for the new series to start, like all my favorite shows, so what I mentioned already, Only Murders in the Building, The Great British Baking Show, Call the Midwife, and then my regular network series that I really like to watch, High Potential. Dr. Odyssey got canceled, which honestly good riddance because I did not like how they took it at the end of the season. Will Trent. I watch FBI and FBI Most Wanted. FBI International got canceled. Did FBI Most Wanted get canceled too? I think it did. So there's just going to be the regular FBI and there's going to be a new spinoff. I'm hesitant, though, about continuing to watch them because I have an issue with Paramount right now, which many of you probably know what I'm talking about, but I might still watch them. And my son does watch Paramount Plus a lot, so I might keep it for him. But anyway, and then, The Rookie, another favorite show that we're looking forward to coming back on. 911. I thought for about half a second about watching the new 911 Nashville because I like Chris O'Donnell. But then when I read about it, I'm like, this is way too country for me. That is not my thing at all. So I'm not going to be watching that, just the regular 911. And then I know I'm forgetting something, but those are the TV shows I'm looking forward to. Those are all shows I've watched before. If there's something new that I haven't watched that's new this year or this season, that I will make a review video about. So watch for those. So that's where I'm at with books, movies, TV. I have some live shows coming up in the next year that I do want to go see. Still will need to get tickets for those. So if I go to a live show, I will make a review of that too. Hope that helps you. Let me know what things that you are looking forward to reading and watching and going to see this fall in the comments below. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it interesting or helpful at all, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming book, movie, TV, or live theater reviews. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.